What's this? Two B-17s in the same place?
Oh my god, it's just such a surprise.
Well, B-17s are pretty much dime a dozen today. But, remember that tutorial we spoke of, folks? Well, here's your tutorial. We're going to do takeoff, landing, and even, yes, emergency procedures. My worst nightmare, my worst nightmare, my worst nightmare. Anyway, we're sitting here cold and dark, and, yes, Rex, we know you're loading weather. We know you loaded it successfully, that's nice. We're sitting here in Anchorage, what was the name of this airport again, Jackson?
I don't know the name. I'll stand by on that. Yes,
Yeah, all you gotta do is go to your map and click on the airport we're
yeah,
at.
Bryant, uh, Bryant AHP.
Now, folks, this is not an easy airport to get in and out of, as you can see by that,
Ew.
dainty little 2,900-foot runway that I somehow got this B-17 into. Yeah, first time I came in here, I'm like, oh, this is a little bit of a short runway. Came in like 10 knots under just above my stall speed. Chirp, landed. I'm like, what? What? We're gonna be running with Bombay fuel tanks, and I guess we could head to Talkeetna direct. Not too far of a flight. Would give us enough time to get to 12. Now, we're not gonna be running on any actual fuel tanks. Let's begin with what the first thing you begin with. Checking the maintenance hangar. Again, I will make sure these hours reach over in the well thousands pretty soon. Go over all your engines, and then you're gonna want to go like I just had it. You're gonna go over your fuel, check your oil, make sure your oxygens are filled. See, we gotta refill our glycol tank. That's the cabin air conditioning, basically. Make sure your hydraulics full. And these are pretty good for a short flight. So, as you can see, each one of these fuel presets like this deletes those tanks and just puts these tanks to full. You don't have this tank. Medium puts those tanks in full fuel. Valves are always shut, so you always gotta open them. And heavy just pretty much loads all your possible fuel tanks in fuel. So here's your oil grades, fuel grades. What's outside air temp? So you want to have a lower the 25 degrees Celsius, so we'll have it in the middle. A 91 octane fuel, as you can see, is not recommended for this airplane, but you can run on it. And let us begin. Let me just lower the FS volume so you can again hear us easily.
Great. So, I'm to start off with the checklist.
Alright, 49 should be good. Well, I'm just gonna go through my checklist this time since it's a tutorial.
Alright.
Alright, now if you had our handy dandy little Form 1A, you'd fill out your Form 1A first.
We should make a link for download.
Yeah, we should put it up on Simviation or something, you know. Same with the checklist you made for the other airplanes. But what Jackson does is he takes the A2A manual, goes through the A2A manual, and makes a physical printable checklist for people to go through. I've used them several times. They're pretty darn good. He makes
Typos, it's typo prone, so.
Yeah, as in he copy and pasted some of them.
It's functional.
Yeah, don't use the B-17 emergency procedures checklist he put. It's got the Stratocruiser's emergency procedures.
No, because I like overwrote the Stratocruiser. I fixed it on the version I have on my computer.
Yeah, because it says 50 manifold pressure, and if you look at the gauges, the only way to reach 50 manifold pressure is to release this and put it to full maximum emergency war power. Which you don't want to do, because that'll blow.
Yeah, I also fixed the go-around, the stall recovery.
Alright, what now? First thing you're going to do, we covered this in pretty much the revisit. Unlock your flight controls and check them. You can even visually inspect them too, see? You can't see it over the pesky co-pilot seat, but if you rotate your camera. And yep, that's that. Okay, check your elevator. Nice thing is, A2A puts in a little clunking sound to let you know it's working. Alright, next part on the checklist here is the adjust seating, rudder pedal safety belt, which if Basically, you could say get your desk chair ready and get your feet ready if you have rudder pedals.
Like bracing.
Yeah. Check fuel transfer switches off. That's right here. They're off.
Open.
Intercoolers to cold. Co-pilot is controlling intercoolers and RPM. Gyros are uncaged. Fuel on-off switches, that's these right here, open. And shut the guard. Landing gear lever down. Switch guard in place. Cowl flaps open. Well, no, we'll set these to open up because the checklist says open them when it's hydraulic fluid, but there's no hydraulic fluid pump on here. It's more expecting you not to hit the cold and dark button. We did the cold and dark button just to demonstrate the airplane from a cold and dark state. Now let's see here. Glycol heating system. No, skip ahead here. Turbo superchargers off. Mixture and throttles. No, mixture idle cut off. Close throttles and set them to approximately 1,000. Right there on the L's, pretty good spot for it. Place on pilot controls at high RPM. Co-pilot did that. Automatic pilot switches are off. Wing de-icer switches are off. If glycol heating system is installed, sets off, it's off. Keep generators off until engines are started. Check fire guard and call clear. Starting sequences 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, everybody else, and when I mean everybody else, every B-17 in the world, including A2A's documents, say start 3 first.
Well, that's what it says on the real checklist.
Well, you
that
start
people
3.
use in real life.
Well, 3. Engine 3 is direct wired into the APU. That's why everybody starts it off 3, because 3 is direct wired in, and it's the easiest engine to start with it. And what you're going to want to do right now is, and by the way, I can pretty much do this checklist without looking at it, but I'm looking at it for your convenience. I don't miss a thing. You want to flick through each of these batteries, you know, make sure they're holding their voltage. And then you want to check your alarm bell. This is a little handy dandy thing here. Ding ding. Oh, 5 early bird special. Get going. Go. Early bird special. Get it. Flip that a couple times. Then you're gonna want to start up your APU system.
I'm on it, Captain.
He's on it. See, he's on it. Now you're gonna want to do this. Once it reaches about 200 psi, it'll throw itself into automatic. See, cow flaps will open on their own now. There's the Learjet.
Captain, power's coming on.
That's nice. Okay, power is on. APU is on. Check gauge of sufficient hydraulic pressure. We have sufficient hydraulic pressure. Turn on the booster pumps. All booster pumps are on. Check between 6 and 13 pounds of pressure. They are between 6 and 13, so we are good. Carburetor air filters to on. Dust conditions must be on all times as high as 20,000 feet. Check fuel gauges for quantity of fuel. Just keep flick through that and see what your fuel is sitting at. We've got enough fuel for our flight.
I think I've got too much fuel for a flight.
You loaded full tanks?
No, it's at 55.
Yes. You might want to dump your Bombays. Dump your Tokyo and Bombay tanks if you know which ones are which.
I got right tip, left auxiliary. Oh my god.
Oh god, I don't even know what to. Hold on there.
I just dump everything and fill up left, right, and center.
I think that's your left Tokyo tanks, your right Tokyo tanks, and your Bombay tanks.
Load 50 each.
Okay, now the checklist says rotate the blades. The blades are supposed to be rotated by hand 4 times, aka 4 complete revolutions. But
Clear prop.
with A2A, they don't even say to do that, except from the real checklists. So clear prop for engine 3. Let's turn that on so engine 3 starts.
Engine 3 starting. Oil pressure is rising.
There you go, she's turning over. Let's get the main doors closed, because I bet you the guys in the back are breathing in exhaust. Alright, let's get engine 4 started. Same procedure as engine 3. Like I said in the last video, I pretty much have a record for starting this thing from cold to all engines warming up. I didn't train myself to do that, it's just second nature when you fly this thing so much.
Clear prop.
And engine 4 should turn right over.
Engine 4 starting.
There she goes.
Oil pressure is coming up.
Correct. Yes, that is a AccuSim glitch, folks. Whatever you do on your AccuSim plane, if they're flying another B-17, it's going to be mimicked pretty much. His engines aren't starting, they're just rotating, pretty much. He's in the Wings of Power 2 model, without AccuSim. He'll be getting that full AccuSim soon once his new graphics card arrives. And when it does, that means we'll be doing aircraft reviews together on a server. Yay!
Clear prop.
Means I can actually see you land accurately. Alright, clear prop engine 2, contact engine 2.
Engine 2 is starting up.
There you go, engine 2's running
Oil
nice and
pressure is
strong.
rising.
Now there are certain limits you have to have these engines at. You gotta make sure they're at the correct limits for warm up.
Clear prop.
About 3-4 shots of primer. 2 shots of primer will work, but 3 is a little better.
Engine 1 is starting up. Oil pressure is rising.
Now, if you think the sound's too much when you're starting, if it's full volume, just put those handy dandy little earbuds on you. Put your radio on. Turn on your generators now. And beacon, strobe light, and landing lights, and you are ready to warm up. You can either warm up taxiing or you can warm up on the ground. For the video, we're gonna warm up on the ground. It depends on where our engines are at.
Closing doors.
Okay, I'm gonna up the throttle to 1500, get them warming a little quicker. See, engine 3 and engine 4 are already near their limits because they were the first engine started, so they usually get there quicker than 1 and 2. That looks like a lovely wind for takeoff, Jackson. It's a crosswind takeoff.
Fun.
And let me check the winds. Oh, it's only 6 knots. It's not going to blow us that much. Still have to see, because all my engines are started. All of Jackson's engines have started again.
Yeah,
see,
I've already started. So.
Well, no. See, what's happening is because mine are fully started now. All of yours appear started. They crank if they're not if all engines aren't started. Like, see, he just, I think he moved an inch is what happened. That's why all of his engines are back to cranking. He's technically stopped. It's a glitch that this happens with the Stratocruiser. Even though this is technically traffic, what it's doing is it plays the engine crank noise constantly until you start moving.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, basically that the whole time. Now let's check our engines to make sure they're within their warm-up limits. Oil pressure about 70 pounds. That's desired. Minimum is 50, so it's within its limits. Oil temperature is still warming up. See, the engines are almost warm. Doesn't take long. Cylinder head temperature is within the desired area.
We've warmed up.
We're almost there. 38 degrees on engine 1. Fuel pressure is at its desired. Carburetor air temperature is desired. Hydraulic pressure is good. Tachometer is reading good.
Ready to go.
Good. Magnetic compass. Float is level. Flap position indicator. Check operation. Basically means make sure your flaps are lowering and raising. make sure check the crew to make sure all doors and hatches are closed, make sure that all crew members are in their respective stations, call the tower for clearance to obtain an altimeter setting, basically just hit B. For me, I usually hit B, and taxiing. There's only one reason for taxiing incidents. Jackson, what is that?
Carelessness.
Yep. Now, you park with the tail wheel locked usually. When you spawn in, it does not lock your tail wheel if you hit cold and dark, so you have to manually cold and dark your airplane yourself.
Sir, I've got him.
Since we're warmed up, we can begin taxi.
Flaps are confirmed up, Cap.
Turn off our brakes. Now, what you want to avoid is pivot turns and taxiing. Let's go over taxiing checklist.
There's
Taxi
not a lot.
from parking area with all 4 engines running. Use outboard engines for turning. I'm going to do that once I get a multi-throttle quadrant. Makes it a lot easier. See, we're almost pivot turning, but we're not going to continue that turn. Just stop the pivot turn. You use brakes only to slow down or stop the airplane. Again, that's if you have the multi-throttle quadrant. You can usually taxi. Keep the tail wheel locked for any straight taxi, even short distance. Always make turns with wheels rolling. Never pivot turn. Check hydraulic pressure every 30 seconds, and have APU generators on during all ground operations. Usually, with lower weights, she'll taxi around 30 manifold pressure. See, Jackson's waiting for me to get to the runway so we can go to our next video, the takeoff and climb phase. Oh no way, I think he had to go. I think his mother called him. Yeah, see, sometimes the B-17 is stubborn and does not want to turn. See, what I usually like to do is pump it up a little more, near 1,000. So you always have that brake pressure to do turns like this. See, again, we're not going to continue that turn to avoid damaging our wheels. We've got about 300 hours in this airplane. All computers I've flown it on combined.
The engines are getting a bit
If you
more.
got any questions at the end of this video, please leave them in the comment section as usual. Like, favorite, subscribe. Look at that beautiful blue sky. There's one thing I need to turn on, so we're going to unhide our menu bar real quick here. Turn on our time sync because it got shut off. Computer will load that back up quickly. Like I said, it reloaded it quickly. Now that what it's doing is it reloaded the terrain, so that's why you're seeing smoke off my tires. Alright. Now remember, if you're running with the sliders on full, which is recommended for the torque and all that, watch braking like that, because if you put your parking brakes on when you're doing something like that, it will flip you into the ground. Nope, no pivot turns. Remember. There's only one reason for taxiing incidents. Carelessness. Okay, we're almost straightened up. Put the tail wheel lock on now. And we'll taxi into position and we will go to our next part of this tutorial. Gotta love it when those B-17 engines are just cranking like that. Look at that. That's total maintenance care right there. I'm kidding. Yes, the reason his lights look like that is every time you look at an A2A airplane that's not you, and the lights are on, they get that gigantor bloom effect going. Don't ask me why, they just do that. Okay, we're gonna hold short here, and oh, see here, see what I was talking about? See what I was talking about? We stopped too quickly. We will do the takeoff, the run-up, and oh no, we'll do the run-up right now, and then we'll do takeoff. So, takeoff technique, taxi the run-up area, set trim task for takeoff, wings flaps fully up, advanced throttle to 1500 RPM. Put your parking brakes on for this, better than holding your brakes constantly. Engine run up. Throttle to 28 manifold pressure. Right about there. Should be. Yeah, right about. A little smidge more. Okay, what you want to do is check your mag. So we'll check engine 3 first. Watch engine 3's mag drop. Good mag drop. Do not operate on one magneto for more than 5 seconds. Okay, check our left or right mag. Right mag also checks. So there you go, that's engine 3. Do the same for the rest of the engines. And if all the engines check out, we can move on to the next stage of flight. It's always important to do this on older, especially on older engines.
Important.
It is, because if you have a fouled magneto, also,
Yeah, I know.
never have this on during your run-up.
What?
The turbo dial. If your if you have a fouled engine, a fouled plug, and you switch that and the fuel from that charge gets into the exhaust, and you turn that magneto back to full, and it sends that hot gas down there, you know, the next explosion, it's gonna like that gas is going down your line, and then you're pretty much blowing out your wastegate because you're, you know, there's a video that explains this. I watched it on B-17 turbochargers. It'll basically blow that little thing out right there, and you don't want that because you got to taxi back and get your maintenance done on it again. Personally, it has never happened to me, but let's try to avoid that. Okay, engine 2 checked out, engine 1's checking out, engine 1's right mag checked out. Okay, fuel pumps feeding off. So one more part, throttle back to 28. Okay, you gotta check and make sure all engines are pulling their full power without the turbocharger, which is about near 27, or no, 37, excuse me. Yep, all engines are near 37, so throttle back to 28. And what you're going to do is the turbocharger test. Run this up and you should see about a 5 to 8 surge. And looks like it's good. And you're supposed to do each engine individually, but I've gotten talented enough I can do it with all engines at once. That concludes the pre-flight engine start and run-up procedures. We will see you guys for the takeoff, climb to cruise. Wow, 2 B-17s. Man, if I can make that the thumbnail, I'm making it the thumbnail. Let me just do this so it records. There we go. See you guys next tutorial.